So the key to this lesson, at least the top half, is to be able to represent this expression or this expression or this expression in a multitude of ways. So, of course, one of the ways you could represent it would be to multiply it out and get the answer. But I want to simplify it even more first. So, you could rewrite this as 3x plus 6, 3x plus 6. That counts as one way you could write it. Another way you could write it is you could take out the 3 from here, be left with x plus 2. Take the 3 out from here, and be left with x plus 2. Now I have two different ways. What that means is if I put this equal to this, it'll be true. This equal to this, it'll be true. If I graph this and graph this, they'll be right on top of each other. It'll be a quadratic. Another way I could do this is I could multiply 3 times 3, and I can multiply x plus 2 times x plus 2. Another way I could do this problem is I could keep the 9, and I can multiply, I can box out, let me get some paper. I could box out x plus 2, and then that would expand to x squared plus 4x plus 4. That's another way. Another way I could do it is I could distribute and get 9x squared plus 36x plus 36. Now, if I would have originally boxed 3x plus 6 squared, I would have gotten 9x squared plus 36x plus 36. Okay? So your goal, and there's probably more ways that you could do this. Now, I will say that a way that is not going to work is if you took number 4 and you just put the 9 on the right side. That's not going to be the same thing. Okay, so be careful about giving me a multitude of ways. It has to actually count. Okay. Let's try the next one. So I could rewrite this as 2x minus 8 times 2x minus 8. 2x minus 8, 2x minus 8. So I could write it out 4 times because anything to the 4th power. Another thing I could do is I could take out a 2 from each one, just like I did in the previous problem. I could multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 16, and x minus 4 to the 4th power because there are 4 of them. That's another way I could do this. Another thing I could do is I could go back to this original, and I can go 2x minus 8 squared, because if you look, if I distributed that, I would get to the 4th power. Okay. Another way that I could do it is I could box out this, but not actually box it out. What I could do is this. If this means x minus 4 like this, because remember when we're multiplying, it really means you add, so it equals to the 4th power. I could box this out, get x squared minus 8x plus 16. Well, this is the same thing, so this is just that squared. So I could rewrite this as 16 times x squared minus 8x plus 16. I could also write this out as 2x minus 8 cubed and 2x minus 8. Now, if this is on your test, okay, you can't do this one and then do this one, because that's the same type of thing. But you could do this one and not that one. Okay. There's a multitude of ways to do this. I could also multiply out x minus 4 to the 4th power and then put a 16 in front of it. Okay. Let's look at the next one. This time, instead of it being multiplied out, it hasn't been done yet, so it's just a quadratic. So I look, they all have a 4 in common. So I could be left with x squared minus 6x plus 9. That's one way. I could factor this, which is x minus 3, x minus 3. I could rewrite that as 4x minus 3 squared. Okay. I could also rewrite this. I could kind of use what I did here and go backwards, where I can make the 4 kind of like a 2. And do it that way. I could also, so what I did is I split that, so that 2 times 2. Another thing I could do is I could distribute, and I'd be left with 2x minus 6 times 2x minus 6, which is 2x minus 6 squared. So that's just a multitude of ways of doing it. Keep in mind that's what I'm going to expect during your test. Another thing I want you to be able to do is prove that the left side is equal to the right side. Now, I'm okay with you taking the left side and making it equal the right side, or having the right side and making it equal the left side. I'm going to do the left side because that's what it asked me to do. And it asked me to write it 2 times because that's what squared means. And then I'm going to box that out. So I'll do that right here. A squared, b squared, a squared, b squared. When we multiply, it means we add. When we multiply, it means we add. So I'm left with a to the 4th plus. If I have 1a squared b squared plus 1a squared b squared, I have 2a squared b squared, and then b to the 4th. And then what I'm going to need you to write is that it equals this, therefore it's true. Okay, so let's do the next one. So this time I'm saying left side equal right side, but if you look, I want to make sure that this equals this, and this equals this. If I look, this is the most simplified answer, so I'm going to show how this one equals that one, and then I'll show how this one equals that one. So I notice that they're actually exactly the same, because that's x to the 8th. Let me make that a little bit bigger. That's x to the 8th, y to the 4th, and that's x to the 8th, y to the 4th. So the same thing. 40 minus 6 is 34, x to the 8th, y to the 4th. Oh, so they are not equal to 36, x to the 8th, y to the 4th, so that's not equal. Then if I'm going to do this problem, remember we distribute. 6 squared is 36. When I multiply, it means, I'm sorry, when I have parentheses, it means I multiply. So x to the 8th and y to the 4th. And that does equal 36, x to the 8th, y to the 4th. So this one, so these two are true. So let's see, I'll write that. This one is true, but that one's false. Okay. Let's go to the next one. This one's a little bit of a workout. If you look, both sides aren't simplified, so I need to simplify both sides. So I'm going to first simplify this side. 2 numbers that add and multiply. And now multiply that by 4. So 4x squared plus 8x minus 12 equals. Now I have to prove that it equals this side. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to box this out. So I'll come down here, x plus 2, and I end up with x squared plus 4x plus 4. And then they want me to add it to this. So I feel like the easiest thing for me to do is put a 1 in front, because I'm going to be adding, and write it vertically, because these are the same. These are the same. And these are the same. 4x squared plus 8x minus 12. Therefore, they are equal. This is true. Okay? Last one is a little different. So they say that this equals this, such that y has a value of 10. So that means this y is 10. And this f of x, oops, wait, not f of x, has an x value of 4. Okay? So that means that we know that if this is 10, f of x is 10, and g of x is 10. I don't really know what the question is asking. It has an x value of 4. So what that's saying is that f of 4 equals 10, and g of 4 equals 10. Okay? Therefore, all that I know right now is that x equals 4 and y equals 10. Okay? So your homework is just to have this done, but you already have it done, so you'll be fine.